What's up guys, Ryan here from MudGunner. Today we are talking AR versus AK as maybe your first rifle, or you're just to that point where you want to add either one to your collection. So I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons, in my opinion, of each one. And this is going to be kind of unbiased at first, but then I'll kind of tell you what I like the most. So the first one we're going to go with is the AR, which is America's rifle basically. And it's going to be kind of vague as far as ARs go because there are thousands of manufacturers. This right here is a Smith & Wesson. And as far as if it's your first gun, what's nice about the AR-15 is, again, it's America's rifle. They are the most popular rifle we have here in the country, and you have the most parts accessible for it. So as far as if you want like a different front rail, triggers, stocks, grips, sights, you name it, you can basically change almost everything on an AR with a basic toolkit, and you don't need to be a gunsmith to do it. AK is slightly different. But what I have here is a Smith & Wesson AR. They're one of the most iconic beginner rifles, and what's nice with them is they also do higher end rifles. This is one of their M&P 15Ts, so this is their tactical railed model. They don't do the quad rail model anymore as far as I know, but they do other versions. Everything nowadays is kind of M-LOK. I still like the quad rail, and the quad rail is when you have the Picatinny rail on all four sides of the gun. A lot of stuff now is M-LOK, which is just a newer style rail. You can still attach all your accessories and it's actually lighter. So both are good. It's just a personal preference thing, but I do like quad rail. And yeah, so what we have here is a 16-inch AR-15. It's a very basic setup. We have iron sights. A lot of ARs, if they come with the free float rail, they don't all come with iron sights, but you can get a set of Magpul sights for about 80 bucks or higher, depending on if you want polymer or metal. But they come with about a 6 or 7 pound trigger. You have adjustable stocks, and this is the more basic stock, but you can get inexpensive stocks for $20 and up. And then grips, all grips are about $20 unless you want something super special. But yeah, AR-15 is very modular. You can do a lot with it. You can change barrel lengths, change calibers. It's relatively inexpensive to do a lot of stuff, but it can get very expensive depending on your taste. The AR-15 is a great first rifle. You definitely can't go wrong with it, but you can go wrong with some cheaper models. So I would recommend you do your research and see which brands are good. I don't have experience with all of them. Again, there's thousands of manufacturers, but chances are if it's super cheap, like sub $400, it may not be the best gun out there. So I don't necessarily recommend a $400 AR. I'm not saying you can't get a great one. I've seen lots of used Smiths for about $400. Not this exact model, but just other models from Smith & Wesson or from Ruger for about $400 to $500, and those are good options. But yeah, do your research, and if you have, a decent budget of about $1,000, you have a lot of doors open to you as far as what you can do. But Smith & Wesson also just came out with one of their free float models with an M-LOK rail without any sights for about $720. So I think that's a decent deal. And AKs, price-wise, they're going to be very similar. I mean, AKs right now, 700 to 1,000 plus. A lot of the decent brands are about 1,000, but Palmetto is kind of one of those best of both worlds guns. I don't have any of their guns myself, but they make ARs and AKs for affordable prices, and they seem to have a decent warranty. But again, I don't have any personal experience with them, but I work at a gun store and we get a lot of their transfers in, and we just became dealers for them. So I would say if you're looking for a budget gun, Palmetto does seem like a good deal to me, but again, just no personal experience. So yeah, again, this is a Smith & Wesson. We'll talk about the AK a little bit, and this is kind of the most basic AK I have that's, modern and all black. I have other ones too, like that are wood, but AKs are very cool as well, and you can get a variety of accessories for them. As you can tell, I have an AR style stock on here, which is pretty cool, and then a more modern grip. AK grips are pretty cheap as well, and it's just a screw at the bottom, so you can easily swap them out. As far as stocks go, a lot of them come with an AK specific stock, but this lower is specifically built for an AR buffer tube. So again, kind of a little special, but you can get AKs with traditional stocks, and they're still replaceable with either synthetic stocks or wood stocks. And then same thing with forends. This is a very basic forend, but you can replace it with quad rails, M-LOK rails. They're very modular, and you can do short ones or ones that go past your barrel. So again, AK has gotten a lot more modular over the years. I would say 10 years ago, not the case, but there's a lot of good companies making products for them now. Same thing with triggers. So like basic AK triggers aren't the greatest, but they're similar to an AR, 6 or 7 pounds. There's companies like Tapco that make good triggers for them. ALG makes amazing triggers for AKs. I have a few ALG triggers, and ALG is like a sister company or a partner company with Geissele who makes amazing triggers for AR. So if you want a high-end trigger, I recommend ALG. I have a few of their triggers, and then Geissele triggers for ARs, but they also do them for, they also do ALG triggers for ARs. But yeah, you still have iron sights. Not all ARs come with iron sights, but basically all AKs come with iron sights. So out of the box, you're ready to shoot it. Just put your mag and ammo in there. I would recommend cleaning and oiling it, but it is an AK and they are pretty notorious for being able to be ran in pretty bad conditions. Now, I will not say that's the same for all AKs, but traditionally speaking, AKs are pretty reliable under adverse conditions. Got Loki here. ARs, in my experience, need to be cleaned and oiled a little bit more than an AK, but if you have a crappy AK, it doesn't matter. So same thing, if you can afford to spend maybe 700 or up on an AK, I think you could find some decent ones, but any of the super cheap AKs may not be the best option for you. But I don't have experience with all the different AK brands. Century Arms is currently my lowest price point AK. They were also my very first AK. I had a Centurion C39, which I don't think they make that model at all anymore, but the C39 was their milled AK. I think I bought it used for like 500 bucks. I sold it after about 1,000 rounds, so I never had a high round count through it, but I currently have a Wasser 10, same thing. I don't have a high round count through it, but I've heard, decent things about Century Arms, but there are some of those lemons. Same thing with other companies though. So any company can make great guns, but also have some lemons. But I'd say right now, if you're looking for a decent AK that's maybe in that 1,000-ish range, Zastava makes good stuff. Kalashnikov seems to make good stuff. I don't have any of their guns yet, but yeah, I have an old school Zastava from Yugoslavia, but I don't have one of the modern Serbian ones. So this is made by Lee Armory, which I don't believe they're currently in business anymore, but they built this AK off a Sharps Bros lower, so it's a milled or a billet, AK lower that accepts AR stocks. So yeah, this is kind of a specialty AK, but it's still traditionally an AK internally. It's all the same. It's really just the back end. But yeah, AKs are very iconic and everyone knows what an AK looks like for the most part. Magazine wise, Magpul is the king of all magazines in my opinion as far as variety of magazines. They may not make the best AK mag or the best AR mag, but they make amazing mags for a variety of platforms. So I would highly recommend just doing these mags for your first mags. And most AKs or ARs come with a PMag, which is the Magpul mags. So ARs and AKs, you'll have no issues with those. Funny enough, Magpul decided to make an expensive AK mag with metal followers, and that one can be a little more finicky depending on the gun than their cheap $13, $14 AK mag that's all polymer. So the all polymer mags in AKs or in ARs are perfectly fine. You don't need metal ones, but it's just personal preference. So yeah, as far as the pros go of the AK, it's still very modular, but it does get a little bit more expensive and it's not as easy for beginners. So I would say AR is going to be a little bit easier for beginners as far as just changing parts out. Not saying you can't change parts out on this, but it might be a little tougher depending on what you go with. I've stripped an AK basically down to the barrel and the receiver in my house with a basic toolkit. You don't necessarily need to get crazy, but it does require a little bit more finessing of an AK. It's not as easy at times. I've had to really manhandle parts to get them on there or modify them to get them on there properly depending on who makes it. So that's just one con about the AK. Recoil-wise, the AK is going to have more recoil than an AR, but you're shooting something that's twice the size. The AR shoots a 55 grain bullet or bigger or smaller depending, but 55 grain is the most common. The AK shoots about 122 grain or 123 grain round. And these are moving at like 2,300 feet per second versus about 2,800 feet per second. But both rounds, as far as like a usable round, whether it be self-defense, hunting, whatnot, both rounds are pretty deadly and they're both proven designs. Like the AK has been used around the world for a long time and so has the AR. So both rifles have proven themselves. I would say, again, the US ARs are a little bit more prevalent, parts availability and whatnot, but AKs are right next to them. They're like the second most popular rifle. So you shouldn't have any issues if you get an AK. Now the one thing right now though is ammo has gotten a lot more expensive specifically due to the Ukraine war and conflict in Europe, but I do see it becoming more available. I've actually seen it more available recently. We actually just got 6,000 rounds of Russian AK ammo at our store this week, which was interesting because I thought we weren't getting any more Russian ammo, but that just came from our distributor. And prices on ammo right now for these, I'd say the average is about $14 a box for steel case. I mean, you might find it a little bit cheaper, but roughly it's about $14 a box, and roughly this is about $13 a box for brass. Honestly, right now, the AR ammo is a little bit cheaper and easier to get. So before, we used to sell AK ammo for like $5 a box, like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So it was the cheaper of the two to shoot consistently for a long time, but currently right now, just because of the European conflicts, it's a little bit more expensive to shoot. But I do see a lot more American companies trying to get it, other countries trying to produce it, so I do think it'll be a readily available ammo again at some point. But right now it has calmed down, so it's not like it's impossible to get. You're just paying a little bit more of a premium due to current times. So if you're looking for a cost-effective gun to shoot, the AR is going to be a little bit more cost-effective. Price-wise, they're similar, but ammo-wise, cost-effective, AR is going to be a little bit better currently as of March 2024. As far as the cool factor goes, I mean, both are pretty sick. They're both iconic rifles. Someone's got a very annoying car. They're both iconic rifles, and I love both pretty decently. I think for me, my preference tends to be AR, but I have a bunch of AKs and I really enjoy shooting them. And it's pretty satisfying to shoot an AK because it's got a little bit more kick and it's firing a bigger round. Another thing to think about weight-wise, AKs tend to weigh more than ARs, especially like a 30-round mag. A 30-round mag of AK ammo versus 5.56 tend to weigh more. Weight shouldn't be too big of an issue, just work out a little more if it's heavy for you. But I'd say mag storage wise, like this is a 30-round mag, this is a 30-round mag. AR mags stack nicer. They also go in kit a little bit nicer because you see it's a little bit more awkward shaped and you have things that can get caught a little bit easier than an AR. So as far as like working drills, I do think the AR is faster, but again, I've seen very fast people shooting AKs. Yeah, they're just both really cool rifles. I enjoy each of them. I just wanted to make this video to talk about some of the points that might help you decide on which one to buy if it's your first rifle, or again, if you're just trying to add another gun to your collection. I think for me, when I first got into guns when I was about 18, I really wanted both, but I went AR first and then I went AK next. And I see a lot of people wanting to do that. They want both in their collection, so I understand. Stocking two types of rounds can be annoying at times, but if you build it up over time, I mean, it's not bad having both of them. Again, this looks super sick. Like, I think a bone stock AK does look better than a bone stock AR. Like, they're both nice, but I tend to like the bone stock look of that more than this, but I do really like a decked out AR versus a decked out AK. But I just figured this would be a fun topic to talk about, and if you have any questions, comment down below. And thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for my next video.